In business, one of my biggest lessons was the law of inbound. It was the easiest for me to acquire money and revenue when I had people coming to me, when I had clients booking in to speak with me, when I had sales coming into me by them finding me through whether it was my ads or my content or something like that, versus when I was doing cold outbound and outbound stuff. It was always like the dynamic was just permanently and just insanely, under leveraged. So the same thing I believe is with dating. And this is going to be one of the cruxes of my strategy going into 2026 is making sure that it's always inbound them chasing. Even if I start the interaction, even if I do the approach, I'm literally okay to nuke the set by somehow making sure that they come to me, right? In one of my shorts recently, I talked about the example of how I went up to some girls. I was like, hey, you want to play some darts? And then I was very nonchalant. I let my boy do a lot of the talking to them. And then every now and then, like, it would be the most natural way that I would obviously have to like start some conversation just out of politeness, but like you want to completely avoid a salesman energy, completely avoid a outcome energy, and you really need to like the master frame and the master leverage is the chasing frame. Okay, who is chasing, who's coming to who, where's the energy flowing? The energy has to be flowing to you. The issue is a lot of men are trained to be leaders and dominant, right? And like this, like I have to be the one to take action and like have more power and be expanding out into the universe. The issue is like you're kind of fighting against the chasing frame, because now as this masculine dominant guy you have to go and chase things in the world, but actually the way to actually get stuff is for it to chase you. And so if you are doing approach, figure out ways that you can probably integrate more nonchalant style game where you're really not trying to sell them, you're really trying to have them like sell themselves to you somehow. um, or maybe you're doing some type of Instagram strategy where you post some like really sick thirst trap Instagram pictures and you get girls like fawning over you and developing crushes on you, and you just let that inbound flow to you. Or, like, yeah, if you're doing game or night game and stuff like that, really just having a nonchalant game where you do not need to close. And the closes that I have had, several of them have been where, wait, if I look back, actually the girl texted me first, or she showed a lot of interest, or, and I almost received her interest. I didn't go and make it happen, right? I didn't go and plan the date and, hey, let's do this at this time. And hey, how's things? Let's do it again this week. Let's do it again this week. Like me going to her, me going to her. Like the issue is that even though you're a dominant masculine dude, good for you, but why didn't it work? Because you were chasing her. Whether or not you don't feel like you're chasing her, you just feel like you're being a strong, just dude that makes shit happen. And it just sucks because I'm sorry, bro, like dudes that make shit happen that are dominant and masculine, which I think is sick, it just doesn't work in dating. And I think like you really need to get really attuned to who is chasing, right? You need to like in most interactions try to like be a master of like relinquishing attention such that girls like get frustrated to the fact that you haven't introduced yourself to them yet, and now they have to be like, oh hi, what's your name, by the way? You haven't talked to us for this whole hour that we've been here in this group setting, so it's awkward that you haven't, so we will have to. Oh yeah, I'm Alex, nice to meet you, thanks for coming to me, right? Thanks for showing an interest in me, right? And it also has to do with like a negotiation thing. Like attention and interest is like a negotiation stick. By not chasing, you're saying, you know what, I am not investing in this, I am not investing, I'm making you invest, I'm making you invest, I'm making you chase. That is like the master frame and the master leverage point, I believe, in dating, is like, I am not going to invest, you will have to invest. And I think you can attract people and incentivize people to invest when you have leverage, when you are, say, high status in a group, or when you're throwing the parties, or when you're, some type of value holder in some arena, right? To where, oh wow, that guy's really good looking, like I saw his Instagram pictures, he's jacked, or wow, that guy's like the host of the party, or that guy's the host of like this group outing or something, or wow, this guy like has getting a bunch of friends. I don't know. Figure out ways that you can be the the center of gravity in some social setting to where girls like are going to have to see value in you, and then therefore now they can come to you because there's some value attached to you, right? So attach some value to yourself and try to cultivate inbound flows, right? People who make a lot of money online and people who are doing great with their business, like they have like a brand, people come to them, people want to go, like people see their content like passively, and all of a sudden they have people coming inbound to them. The law of inbound and the law of chasing is like a master leverage point. It might be the number one leverage point. And it kind of goes against stuff that I've even said in my past videos about dominance and like masculinity and like going out and make shit happen, or being interesting and being funny, right? Because now you're having a salesman energy, or you're having an outbound chasing energy when you're being dominant and try hard, right? You honestly, like a master PUA frame might be the nonchalant frame, because you're like, I do not need this sale at all. But somehow you're in this interaction. And I think master PUAs like get themselves into interactions, but then somehow convince the other person that they're nonchalant, they didn't want this thing anyways. But I'm in this interaction. So maybe going out and making interactions happen in a very natural and nonchalant way to where it's so covert that they didn't realize it was an approach, right? And now you can somehow turn the tables and make it chasing on you, and why aren't you giving me attention or validation or trying to impress me or trying to sell me or trying to close me, right? But that girl was a buyer, and so she's going to try to close you, right? Sure, some girls, like when you go up and you do your natural nonchalant game, they're going to be like, okay, cool, this is boring, because they were never a buyer to even start with, okay? So I think that's a main thing, and that's going to be part of my game, is the law of inbound. The law of chasing is like probably the number one. And I always say like, oh, dominance is number one now, or masculinity is number one now, but now I'm pretty convinced that the law of chasing and inbound is number one. And so that's going to be kind of a main underpinning fundamental strategy for me going forward. What do you guys think? But yeah, I'm pretty convinced that this is it, because I have many real life social data to back this up. Certain experiences where I'm like, I didn't do anything in this interaction. My boys did all the work doing the approach, but I just was nervous and beta and did nothing. But girls still chased me and they wanted me, and I didn't do anything. In fact, I had no game. I had the opposite of game. I felt nervous and this and that. But the fact that I didn't invest and they invested, and they had a chasing energy, they already got the attention from them, the outbound chasing energy. They're a buyer, but they just need to chase to actually close. That's what it is. And I have many interactions like this, and when I look back, and when you look back on all of your closes as well, most of them were where the girl had more interest and more investment than you did, and they were chasing, and and they were more inbound to you than you were to them. So sure, yeah, I've gone ahead and I've done way more chasing and made shit close because of, whatever. But yeah, there has to be a base level of interest, and the more you can get them to invest and chase, and the more you can be nonchalant and just receiving their interest, the better. So yeah, this goes for text game. Be nonchalant, be normal, and if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. Try to, in some way, like bait investment, right? Baiting investment, baiting chasing is like a main tactic to consider.